Enjoy is Tropicaling.
Hello and welcome back. Today we are returning to Sweden of all places to take a look at some more creepy tales. I've always heard that Sweden has the most stories and folklore out of all the Scandinavian countries, and after doing these videos I think I'm going to agree with that. You loved the last one we did, let's see what you make of these. My name is Danny Burke and this is the top 10 scary Swedish urban legends part 2. Starting off with an intense one now at number 10 with the sacrificial beggar child. What a title to start with. The story goes like this. In the town of Dalen there was screams could be heard. The plague didn't stop, only getting worse. The villagers claimed they could still hear his cries as they all gone out to the forest. Finally they decided the only sacrifice worthy enough would be a human being. They chose a small until he was buried completely. Sacrifice. Next up at number 9 now we have the evil one and Kitta Grau. One day a girl named Kitta Grau met the devil. She recognized him and said, "Where have you been, old man?" "Well," said the devil, "I have been out on the farmstead where the newly wedded couple live. This is the third time I have tried to break them up, but they think so much of each other that it's impossible." Kitta scoffed, "You sound stupid. I could have done that the first time I went there. If you can do it, I will give you a splendid pair of shoes," said the devil. Kitta accepted and headed out to the farmstead. There she found the woman home alone. Her husband had gone out to the forest. Kitta told her that she had a splendid husband. "That is the truth," the woman replied, "for he grants my every wish before it is spoken." Kitta smiled. "Take my word though, there is still a bit of deceit in him. He has a pair of long hairs under his chin. If you can cut them off in his sleep, then he will have no malice in him at all." The woman said, "Well, if you think that will help, I'll do it during his afternoon nap." Then Kitta went out to the forest to see the husband. "You really have a very good wife," she said. "She could be no better," the husband replied. "Well, you might be wrong," said Kitta. "When you come home, be on your guard, for when you take your afternoon nap, she will try to cut your throat." The husband didn't really believe her, but later that day, during his nap, his wife came up softly behind him and took hold of his chin with one hand, razor in the other. He jumped up and flew into a rage. "You want to murder me?" he cried. From that day on, there was no peace in the house. Kitta went to get her shoes from the devil as promised, but he was so afraid of her, he passed them on a pole from the other side of the river. "You are ever so much worse than I am," the devil told Kitta Grau. Many Swedes have heard the tales of this woman who bested the devil, who may be more evil than him, and who still wanders the land to this day. At number 8 now we have the Naken. According to ancient Swedish folklore, the Naken is a supernatural man who lives in seas, lakes, streams, rivers, every body of water imaginable. He is inescapable, which is scary as his only mission in the world is to drown people. He is said to do this by enchanting them with his incredible fiddle playing. When people hear the music coming from the water, they helplessly walk towards it. They walk into the water and keep going further and further, chasing the music until they are submerged by the water and drown. Those who have seen him say the Naken wears no clothes when he plays, hence the name, which means naked. He has long brown hair with seagrass in it. He also looks very sad, like something is torturing him forever. Legend says the reason he lurks in the waters and draws people into their deaths is that he is simply lonely. Those who tell the Naken story often say it was more common to hear him in the past, but some still say they hear his fiddle by pools of water on dark nights with a bright full moon. Next up at number 7 now we have the Draugr. A number of Scandinavian countries are home to the legend of the Draugr, and Sweden is one of them. They are said to be evil ghost spirits with an eternal connection to water. In life they were sailors or fishermen who lost their lives at sea. Now they are doomed to haunt the waves forever. The curse changes them. The Draugr are always described as being huge in size and covered from head to toe in seaweed. They are only ever seen after dark during stormy seas, always rowing the remains of whatever broken boat they died in. Quite often sailors hear the Draugr before they see them. The creatures are said to let out a piercing cry as they row towards their victims, somewhere between a deathly howl of pain and a cackle of pleasure. Faced with such terrifying creatures, many sailors report the only way of escaping a Draugr is reaching the shore before it. Of course, a Draugr knows this too and will try and drag them down to the depths of the sea before that. Even if they succeed, there have been stories of the Draugr stepping ashore to continue their pursuit. pursuit. Truth be told, there seems to be no limit to what this creature will do to get the kill it desires. Moving on to number 6 now, we have the lindworm. In a number of Scandinavian countries, including Sweden, the lindworm is an old, fabled creature. Some still speak its name. The lindworm is described as a giant, limbless serpent. It has a serpentine body, a dragon-like head, scaled or reptilian skin, and 2 clawed arms on the upper body. They are often associated with pestilence, eating cattle, and human bodies, sometimes even invading churchyards and eating the dead from cemeteries. Their sighting is thought to be an exceptional sign of good luck. Their skin was believed to greatly increase a person's knowledge about nature and medicine. For centuries there have been stories of people fighting the lindworms. There was even the story of the king lindworm. It was born to a queen who was told the only way she could have children was to eat 2 onions. However, one of them wasn't peeled, which caused one of her twin boys to become the fearsome king lindworm. Jumping forward now for our number 5, and we have the Clarion Grand Hotel. This building is located in Helsingborg and it's home to a number of creepy tales. People will tell you to stay away from the 5th floor and room 585. Guests who have stayed in this room have reported feeling watched, they felt icy drafts that passed through them, or even being pushed out of bed in the middle of the night. It's believed that just one ghost is responsible for all of these spooky goings on. In life, she was a former mistress who was murdered by a married couple in the 1920s when the wife discovered what her husband had been doing. In a desperate attempt to save their marriage, they decided to bump off the other woman, who then disappeared without a trace. All this happened in the 1920s, not long after the hotel was built. Some people believe that the building and the ghost will forever be intertwined, that she has found her home at the hotel, and you're the one who's invading it. Moving on to number 4 now, we have the Christmas ghosts. The story goes like this. A woman was preparing to head to church for midnight Christmas mass. She and her friend decided to get some sleep before they went. The woman got up when she thought she heard her friend saying it was time to leave. She grabbed some bread that was in the shape of the cross to eat later on. On the way to the church, she was stopped by a couple of evil witches who wanted to kill her. They couldn't approach her though because of the cross she was carrying. The woman was totally unaware of all of this, however, and made her way into the church. Inside, she sat down and heard something that sent chills down her spine. A voice in her head told her that he was her godfather and that someone wanted to kill her, but she would be spared. This was shocking. The woman spun around in a panic and suddenly saw that everyone in the church was headless. She fled the scene as ghostly figures tried to grab her. They only managed to take her veil though, and the woman escaped. When she returned to retrieve the veil, she found that the ghost had shredded it to bits and scattered the pieces among the graves outside the church. There was no doubt in her mind that they would have done the exact same thing to her if she had been caught. Alright, next up at number 3 now, we have the Blåa Jungfrun. This is the name of a Swedish island in the Baltic Sea. Its name literally translates to the Blue Maiden, and it has a historical link to the supernatural. Since ancient times, locals have regarded this as an evil place, steeped in dark magic. The name Blue Maiden was intentionally nicer than what people thought of it. That's because sailors wanted to appease the evil spirits who lived there, and they thought a nice name would do that. According to a widespread belief dating back to the 16th century, witches met there every Holy Thursday. People said that those who go there will never return, at least not in the same way they arrived. The beaches and stone labyrinths have many smooth stones.
Grease gums up your dishwasher. Finish Dishwasher Cleaner helps dissolve grease, so you're ready for your next meal.
Which are illegal to remove from the island. Some say this is because of the island's status as a national park. Others claim that people will suffer endless bad luck until the stones are returned. The nearby town has stones from former visitors to the island, often with an accompanying letter describing the misfortunes and disasters which had happened to them since removing these cursed stones. Next up at number 2 now, we have the Kraken. For millennia, the people of Sweden joined many cultures in their belief of the mighty Kraken, the most fearsome creature of the seas. It's been described as a mile-wide octopus or squid-like creature that is often mistaken for an island. It was said that only 2 existed because any more and there would have not been enough food in the oceans for them. Although it mostly fed on fish, the Kraken was never known to say no to human flesh. Legend says that the Kraken could devour a ship's entire crew in one go. If it didn't want to eat but simply kill the sailors, it would send one of its massive tentacles slamming down onto the ship's deck, snapping it clean in half and dooming any sailors who hadn't already been killed. Some people like to imagine that the Kraken never really disappeared, it just sunk to the bottom of the ocean, waiting for the right time to return to the surface and assert its dominance over us. And finally, number 1 now, we have the trolls. Sweden has been no stranger to reports of trolls over the centuries. In recent years there was a case involving a woman referred to as SM93. She was a farmer in a remote area of Sweden who noticed that her cows had been let outside one night. She then noticed all of her tools and containers were going missing. One night the horses snorting in the stable woke her up. She found them outside of their paddock. When she got to them, she looked up to see what's been reported as a troll. It stood about 6'3" tall with incredibly long, thin and muscular legs. Its head was oblong and it had big ears high up on its head. The creature was greyish brown in colour and looked dirty and veined. Its torso was covered in fur, but not the arms or the legs. As the creature noticed her, it grunted, flapped its ears and leapt away, running quickly into the woods from where it came. No sooner had that happened when she turned around to see her stable was on fire. The fire department determined it was an electrical cable to blame. A few months later, a neighbour who had previously found his cows let out at night had his barn burnt down too. Again, the cows had all been released, so the only thing that was damaged was the building. The cause of the fire was determined to be arson and a farm worker was convicted. People are convinced that the trolls are real, mysterious, creepy looking, but seemingly caring for humans, or at least the animals they keep. What do you guys think? And what do you think of all those stories? Which country should we do next? I am hearing Germany a lot in the comments on these videos. Shall we do Germany next? I think we should do Germany. I've already seen some pretty good ones that I know I can include. Okay, cool. That sounds good. All that's left for me to say is thanks for watching, guys. My name is Danny Burke and I will see you all in the next video.